Good morning. Thank you for that. Good to see all of you here today. And we want to thank those at home for joining us, and we welcome you and ask that if you are watching that you might leave a little like or a comment so that we know you're there, and you can reach out to us or us to you. And so this morning we're going to start with a song that we're going to sing together. You have to sing, okay? Even if you don't know it, just read our lips, you know. We're going to sing together, and it speaks of God's power through his indescribable nature, through nature, the things he's created. There's a verse in Romans 1:20. For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and the sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power, his divine nature. So, they have no excuse for not knowing God.
That's right.
So just coming here today, and I was mentioning to Ron, you just look around at the beautiful green right now. The weather is beautiful, the sky is beautiful, the trees, everything. And we didn't make those things. And it just does give just validation and to who God is, his power. So this song, Indescribable.
From the highest of heights to the depths of the sea, creation's revealing your majesty. From the colors of fall to the fragrance of spring, every creature unique in the song that it sings, all exclaiming, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. Oh, yes, you are. All powerful, untamable, awestruck, we fall to our knees and we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God. Who has told every lightning bolt where it should go, or seen heavenly storehouses laden with snow, who imagined the sun and gives source to its light, yet conceals it to bring us the coolness of night. None can fathom, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. Oh, yes, you are. All powerful, untamable, awestruck, we fall to our knees and we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God. Will you place the stars in the sky? And you know them by name. You place the stars. You place the stars in the sky, and you know them by name. Yes, you do. Indescribable, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. and we humbly proclaim, you are amazing, God.
Let's sing it one more time. Indescribable.
Indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing.
Oh, you're so amazing, God. Yes, you are.
All powerful, untamable. Awestruck, we fall to our knees and we humbly proclaim,
Oh, yes, we do.
you are amazing, God.
You're amazing, God.
You are amazing, God.
Sing again. Yes, you are.
Oh, you are amazing, God.
Oh. Do you ever get awestruck sometimes just looking out and seeing the beauty of what He's given us? I think of Loretta, who's building a house in Michigan up in the snow, and just the beauty, the lakes, the beautiful green, the snow that's going to come in the winter, in which she won't be there in the winter. Snow is beautiful, but not necessarily to live in. But God is He's so creative. He's given us such a beautiful world to live in.
Yes,
Not everywhere. Somewhere in the world, it's not that great, but we can really count our blessings being here. It's wonderful.
I count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. Working all things out. Oh, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will. I count on one thing. This is God who's never fails, will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Oh, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh, bless your name now. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh, yes, I will.
I choose to praise.
And I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify, name of all names. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify, name of all names. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise.
I choose to praise.
To glorify, glorify, name of all names. Oh, nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify, name of all names. Nothing can stand against.
Nothing can stand.
Oh, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name.
Bless your name. Oh,
Yes, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh, yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Bless your name. Oh, yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh, yes, I will for all my days. Oh, yes, I will for all my days. Yes, I will.
Amen. Shar and I were just at a women's conference yesterday, and it's hard sometimes to say yes I will every day, right? And the conference really kind of spoke to that, how it's hard. It's just hard to every day surrender and be steadfast, and it's hard. But God, and we've learned this from George, Pastor George, is God, whether we fail, many of us maybe don't, like Pastor George never fails, but many of us, we fail on a daily basis. But God, the message yesterday was God, He loves us like a father loves us. He doesn't spank us or want to hurt us because we've failed. We just have to get up and say, yes, I will. I can do this. So anyway, it's a wonderful reminder. His love is deep.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss! The Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. It is finished. Oh, it is finished. Oh, oh yes, it is. Thank you, Lord. It's finished. I will not boast in anything. No is done, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom. We love you, Lord. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you. Oh, my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. May it be a sweet, sweet sound. May it be a sweet, sweet sound. May it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. That's what we wish, Lord. May it be a sweet sound in your ear, for you paid the price. You made the way for us, Lord, to come back to you. You're the one that forgives. You're the one that gave your life. You laid it down for us. You're the creator. You're there in the beginning. You're there always. And you continue to be there into eternity. Thank you, Lord, for all you do. May you be with us this morning. May you be with each family here. Bring healing to those that are in special need this morning. And may you give us strength throughout the coming week. And may you also be with George with Myke, who's going to give us the word this morning. And may it draw us even closer to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
So give us, thank you. Praise God. He showed up. He always does. So give us a moment to set Myke up, because he's going to be down there. So talk quietly amongst yourselves, and he'll be right with you.
Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, talk loud.
Sorry. Just no gossiping. Just sweet talk.
David, why don't you share what happened yesterday? Would you do that? Just share what you did yesterday. Can you do that?
Don't know why anybody wants me.
I think it's important. Dave lost his wife a little while back. What did she do?
I lost my wife, it'll be a year this coming weekend, on Memorial Day, so George was there for her. She died, she had Parkinson's, so she died of complications of Parkinson's disease, so,
created and put on earth. Another great place is George and Char's house. They always treat me like I am somebody. If you've never had that experience, maybe we should do like a sign-up sheet in the back. People who want to move in with you for a couple of weeks. It's just a great experience. What's the matter? Okay. And then the other thing is that this church is a very special place for me also. I watch every Sunday. I pray for you folks during the week. I have, when I go to work, I get there about an hour early. And I spend some time in prayer and for this church in particular and for you guys. So I've also spread it around to a couple of friends. I've got friends down south that watch this, Butch and Linda, and friends in Pennsylvania that also watch this, Carl and Linda, different Lindas. Butch and Carl have their own Lindas. That's the way Lindas go, so not the same one. But I just want to let you know that this is a very special place, and this church is a very special church, and I appreciate that I consider myself a member from 2,500 miles away. So, excuse me, I have a story that I would like to share. I do a little bit of a backdrop to it. In 2013, I was finishing up pursuing a degree in military history, and I was finishing up my studies. So that was like 11 years ago. I was probably 25 11 years ago.
Yeah.
You may feel a little older. Got a late start. I think I was older than the textbooks. But, or at least the subject matter anyway. But I was finishing that up, and then for those of you who pursued education at the level, you get to a certain point and you can take electives. And the elective that I chose was the journalism class, which I thought was kind of interesting. And it just so happened that the class the assignment was that I had to write a broadcast as if I were a broadcaster for TV or radio or whatever. And then I had to put it on YouTube and send it somehow to the professor. And there was a little story in a town not too far from me about a little girl who had leukemia. And that story came out at the same time as I had to do my broadcast. So I chose that as my subject. Because I couldn't put it on YouTube, I know a little bit about YouTube now. I know less about YouTube. Then I asked my daughter, help me to do this, put it on my phone. She said, okay, I'll show you how to do it. You click here, push this, open that up, put it, write something in here, go this way. And then she got all done. She said, okay, you got it? I said, no, I didn't get it. I don't have any idea what you said. And I'm not even sure that was English. I don't know what you said. So she said, okay, well, let's just do this. She set it all up. She said, when you get ready, do you think you can push this button? I said, sure, anybody can push a button. That's no problem. What button was it now? I forget. But, so we got it set up. I pushed the button. Apparently it worked. I did my broadcast, sent it off, and then life continued on, daily activities for months, weeks, years. And that story that I had reported on kind of fell into the history in the back of my mind, and it wasn't conscious to me anymore. Last November, when I was getting ready to, some 11 years later, getting ready to come out here, I started making plans, and one of the things I did in case I had an opportunity to speak was I started working on a story that I was going to be able to share if that happened. I don't remember what that story was because as I was walking from one room to the other in my house, the memory of this story that I had done 11 years before popped clearly into my mind, and I felt like God was saying to share this story, which I just instantly did or accepted. I don't know about you. There are times when I think God tells me to do something and we kind of debate a little. I call it debate. He calls it arguing. But this time it was just instantaneous. I just felt so comfortable that I was supposed to do this. And the story was that in May of 2013, a little girl had been diagnosed with a form of leukemia that was a very rare form. The town she lived in was almost like a city. Malls, shopping centers, major arteries, vehicles going back and forth. I kind of live in a place where the population is increased by 50% when the herds come in. It's full of dairy cows and cornfields and soybeans. So it was kind of a different setting, but I'm familiar with the town she was in. And that was in May. And it didn't take long, apparently, for the medical people to come to the conclusion and figure out that it wasn't going to turn out the way that we would want it to. Now, this is a little bit of a painful part of the story. If you'll hang with me, it gets better. So, the little girl's character began showing at that time. Now, she's faced with disappointment. Her parents, friends, and family, when you get a notice of like that, I think the first thing we do is kind of go into shock a little bit, maybe into denial, like this is something that you hear on TV for somebody else's family, but not for mine. And then maybe a reality that maybe this is the reality. And then it's, where is God in this? The world likes to use that as an example that God doesn't exist. Other people get mad at God. Yeah, well, if he's such a good God, why does this happen? And other people just want to know, where is God? If this is the case, if there is a God, where is he in a situation like this? The little girl seemed to be resilient in her desire to do something. I think she was told that she had a certain amount of time. But she kept coming up with things that she wanted to do during this time she had left. And unfortunately, everything that when it looked like there was hope for one day, it was great, it was a high, everybody looking forward, and then the next day the carpet pulled out from under it, and it was back to square one again. How can you have those highs and lows? If God's in charge, where is God? But every time she had a setback, she wanted to move forward with something. Rather than pull the covers over her eyes, she wanted to go on and do something. And it came to that she wanted to go to Disneyland. Now, the parents probably at this time, and friends and relatives, are thinking, how many more disappointments do they have to explain to this little girl that she can't do that? It could be a great opportunity to fulfill a wish, but how do you keep telling a little girl that it can't happen? And I can appreciate their dilemma. I don't like disappointing my kids and my grandkids for anything. Can we go get an ice cream, Grandpa? No, can't right now. I don't even like saying that. I can't imagine being involved in a situation where you have a young girl faced with that. That's got to be traumatic. And you got to almost think that I just wish opportunities would stop coming up so that I could stop telling her no. But she wanted to go to Disneyland, and it didn't look good. And then one day the doctors called. They said, we've got something that we think might help. It might work out. It might get her strong enough that she can spend some time in Disneyland. And again, the elevation, the expectation, maybe there's a bright side to this. Maybe something good's going to happen. So they tried the treatment, and unfortunately, once again, it didn't work. And once again, they had to tell the little girl that something that she wanted to do can't do. That's got to be painful. Where is God? God wasn't in saving her life. God wasn't in allowing these other things to happen in her favor, and now God apparently is not in her trip to Disneyland, and she's running out of days and she's running out of options.
where is God? But she was resilient, and I appreciate the fact that she kept doing the best that she could under the circumstances. And George and I have talked a lot about getting older, because George is getting older. Still in good shape, though. But we talk about not being able to do the things that we could do. But maybe that's not the goal anymore, because we recognize that. But the goal is to continue to do the things that we can do. And part of this philosophy I got from this story, from this little girl that kept lowering her expectations of what she could do, but never lowering her expectations of what she could do. She could do what she can do, and that's what she wanted to do, even though it was less than what it was previously. So she came up with what she wanted. And at this point, she wanted carolers. This was Christmas time. She wanted carolers to come to her house and sing Christmas carols. They set the date of the 21st of December, I think was a Saturday. And she was too sick to sit by the window. They had the windows open. And I can imagine now the mother and the father and the family members and friends thinking, is this going to wind up being another disappointment? Am I going to have to tell a little girl that also, on top of everything else that she's been denied, we're going to have to deny this? Is anybody going to show up? And they thought about it, and in their head they thought, a good turnout would be 150 people. If we can get 150 people from the neighborhood to come and sing Christmas carols to this little girl, that would be a success. And then you start arguing with yourself. Well, what if it was only 10? Is that a success? Is that going to be an insult to the little girl? Is she going to be disappointed? Is this a good idea? Maybe I should just tell her no right now and get the pain over with and not have to deal with it. Because we've asked so many times, where is God? And I don't know if God's going to show up now. I have no idea. They could have been thinking that. And I think that as the day went by and as it got closer to the evening time on the 21st of December, on a Saturday, that they would walk by the window and kind of peek and look, is there anybody out there yet? Now, they had a feeling probably that some of the neighbors that were aware of this were going to show up because they're neighbors. But that's not going to be 150 neighbors. So they kept looking and looking. Windows open. Little girls there. Is God going to show up? Where is God? And then towards the evening, as the expectation gets stronger and maybe the anxiety gets stronger, maybe there's a few people start to show up. So let's just let that scenario set for a few minutes and see if we can get more carolers out there. And in the meantime, let's go back to last November when I felt like God asked me to explain this story. When I felt like God had told me to share it, my first question was, I'll do it. It's a good story. It was a heartwarming story to me. I enjoyed doing it, and it touched my heart when I did it for my class. But I don't know if there is a point that I could actually get a hold of that I could present here that would have a lot of meaning to it other than just telling a story. And God took me mentally to a shopping mall, which is generally not any place I want to be physically or mentally. Too many people doing too many weird things at the same time. It just overwhelms me. In being confession, I used to be one of those weird people doing weird things at the mall. So I know how it goes. But I looked mentally at the mall, and I thought, at Christmas time, it's entirely different for me. Christmas for me starts right around November, and it runs through the end of January and maybe later. Depends on my mood and attitude. How bad the weather in Pennsylvania is, because that'll take Christmas right out of you. But I thought about what that means, watching the people at the mall. Somebody could say, well, it's all commercial, and they do say this. Christmas is too commercialized. Jesus is no longer part of Christmas. It's just buying Christmas gifts and being stressed out. And you can look at the mall that way. I don't like to, especially at Christmas. Christmas is a tough time for some of us that are by ourselves. We have things we have to deal with. But it's also such a great time. The whole world has a different glow to it. Even the nastiest of people sometimes turn around a little bit and soften up a little bit. It's just a great season. But I looked at the people in the mall, a mother and a father with their kids. Well, the first thing I see is that God had created the family unit. And this is a family unit. This is God's idea of raising kids and being together. Not going to the mall necessarily, but having the family unit progress through life. It's a reflection of heaven in a way. They plan, they have discussions, they work together. Should we get this little toy for little Johnny? Yeah, he'll like that. Well, how about this thing for little Emily? No, she ate one last year. Let's get something else. So they're working together as a unit. And again, I know that you can look at some people who are not working together. But that's not God's plan. When I see people working together, then I see God in that plan. You can take God's plan out of your life if you want. I would like not to. But when it's working, I can see that it's God's plan that it works that way. The joy of children at Christmas drives some people nuts because they're doing 300 miles an hour and you almost have to lasso them to keep them in shape. But the joy that is in a kid at Christmas time is the type of joy that we're supposed to have as adults. We grow out of it. We exchange joy, a childlike joy, for being cynical. We get old and grouchy and grumpy. We get old and grouchy and grumpy at kids who are happy. We need to stop that, because I can see the joy that's in a child supposed to be in the joy in the believer. That's God's plan. I see God in that. When I see happy Christians, I see a happy Christian, but I also see God's plan, God's joy. That's God in what I'm looking at. One of my favorite places in Jackson is on Main Street. And I've corralled George over there a couple of times. There's I call it the ice cream shop. It's actually a candy store, I think. But to me, it's an ice cream stop with a lot of wasted candy in it. I don't have anything to do with that, but that ice cream, me and that ice cream, I walk in the door now, everybody heads for the back to scoop ice cream. They have a bench outside the store. So I get my ice cream and I go sit on the bench. And I do this as often as I can, sometimes twice a day. And I talk to the people that walking around. Some of them live in Jackson, they're taking care of business, and they make jokes about ice cream for breakfast kind of thing or whatever it is. And others are visitors, and we talk back and forth. And George and I have sat on that bench, and we talked to the people. And that's a great place to be. That, to me, is also an indication that God exists, because he created such a peaceful place inside that I can find a place outside. And it's a great place to be. So one day I was sitting on the bench having my ice cream by myself, watching everybody and everything. And if you remember last year, there were helicopters flying around, and at first I thought that somebody had escaped from the jail and they were looking for him with a CHP helicopter. But it turned out that the power lines were being inspected, and I thought very cleverly, by helicopters. They would just come up there and hover around there and take a look at it and everything. So I'm sitting on the bench. The helicopter's off to my left a little bit. I'm watching the helicopter. And then I notice that there is a hawk has come in, and he's flying around in a circle. Now, where I live, because of the area I live in, there's a lot of critters and rodents and things on the ground, and hawks are constantly hunting, and they fly in a circle when they hunt. But as they hunt, that circle moves. It's still a circle, but it's moving from one area to another, and that's how they hunt. This guy was flying around in a circle like he was hunting, only he was only hunting over Main Street. Now, there are some critters on Main Street probably, and I was one. But I informed the hawk that my ice cream was not his prey, and he was not getting my ice cream. But I watched him do it, and then 2 more hawks showed up, and they all 3 started going in a circle, in the same circle, not moving, but just flying around. I thought, that is really unique. I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden it occurred to me. These hawks were playing in the air currents created by the helicopter. They weren't working. They weren't looking for food. They weren't doing anything. I think they were literally playing. And I literally saw God in that creation. Not only were the hawks using the aerodynamics that God created, but they were using some kind of an internal joy that they had of just enjoying what they were doing. I could have sat on the bench and say, hey, look, I see 3 birds. Isn't that cool? But I saw more than 3 birds. I saw God in that. I saw God in the helicopter. Not as a pilot, I don't want to say that. But I saw God's technology. It's science. Somebody of mankind worked the details out of science that God put in this world and worked it out so that a helicopter, the big heavy helicopter, can hover above the ground. I see God in doing that because who else could have invented the science that would have allowed that to happen? Who else could have created that? So we have a choice. We can ask, where is God? Or we can look. And I believe that we can look and see where is God if we'll take the time to do it. I can feel God's presence almost whenever I want to. It's not an overwhelming thing. I don't hear him. He's not a chatterbox. He doesn't tell me jokes, usually. Doesn't make fun of me, usually. But if I quiet myself, I can just sense God's presence. It's like somebody else being in the room with you, kind of. It's not an overwhelming, spooky thing. It's just his presence. And I was talking to somebody once, and they told me they couldn't do that, and I was surprised because I thought everybody did. And I still think they do. I don't know the science behind it. I've never had a big discussion. But I can sense God's presence if I quiet myself enough, put the world out of my head enough, then I can sense just a quiet presence. And I think it takes practice, but I think it's there, and I think everybody has access to it. We just need to learn to look and see, because when you say, where is God? I can show you where is God. He's in a helicopter. I can see that. So this little girl is laying in her bed in this town, their parents and family waiting to see him. Pretty soon, as it got dusk, towards dusk, on the 21st of December on a Saturday, people started showing up. 15, 20, 60. Carolers started singing. Maybe there's some hope now in the parents and the family that this is going to work out, that this is something we don't have to disappoint our daughter with, or granddaughter, whoever. 100 people. And then that magic number. They were looking for 150 people. They estimated there was 150 carolers out there. It was a success. 150 carolers to sing to a little girl. Perfect. Mission accomplished. Great deal. 200. 300. 800 people showed up. They weren't done yet. As time went on, there was 1,000, 1,200, 1,500. The cops showed up. They blocked off the road to stop traffic from going down into the area where the carolers were so that they could walk safely. And they stood at various points in there and directing traffic away from the house. People could walk up, they couldn't drive anymore because it was too many, dangerous. 2,500 people, 3,000. 5,000. 5,000 people showed up to sing carolers for a little girl. It's estimated, there was no way of keeping an accurate count, but it was estimated that there were between 6,000 and 10,000 people showed up that night in that neighborhood. Is it possible that 6,000 to 10,000 people in the week of Christmas were going to stop doing everything that they had to do? We're going to wrap their kids up who had sports or Christmas shopping or parties or getting ready for the holidays? Is it possible that 6,000 to 10,000 people on their own volition would just stop what they were doing and go out in a cold Pennsylvania winter night to a girl's house that they didn't know to sing carolers for an 8-year-old, to be a caroler for an 8-year-old girl? Is that possible? I don't think so. I mean, I know there are some good people, and I know that they have a good heart. But I want to suggest that God moved on the multitude of the people to show up and do that. Now, why would God be that interested in one little girl? Because he knew her by name. But I believe that he would send the multitudes to lift up the spirits and to do something good for one little girl. Just like he sent one person to do something good for the multitudes. I see God in that. You can, there could be arguments that it was just one of those Good Samaritan things. I don't see it. I don't know where 6,000 to 10,000 Good Samaritan people live. Get on the freeway and tell me how many you see. So when I look at that situation, I think that God just moved on people to do that. Would he do that for all of us? In any way, shape, or form that he decided it was the way to do it, I would suggest to you, yes. He absolutely will do that. He will move whatever he needs to move. He had compassion on the little girl. So when you say, where is God? Or God is where? I want to suggest that God is in them all, in the family. He's in the hearts of the people that represent God in them all and the families. But he's with the people that aren't his yet. Because the Bible said that he loved us before we loved him. That means that we weren't any better than any of the other unsaved. Or our situation wasn't any better. But he moved on us to become that way, to join the family. So I see God in them all. I see God in a hawk, flying in a circle with a wingspan that catches the wind. Now, how does a hawk know? I mean, they could have taken helicopter 101 and known that if you go to a helicopter in the wake, you can fly around like that, checking their notes. And, oh, I missed this answer on that test. Well, that's good. None of that. They just knew there's something instinctive. I see God in that hawk. I see God in all three of those hawks. I see God in the helicopter. People say God is not proved by science. Look at a helicopter. That is science. And somehow or another, God selected mankind to have the ability, somebody, it wasn't me for sure, but somebody, to figure out how to make that thing work. We didn't just grow somebody smarter than everybody else. There's something that God puts in all of us to achieve what he wants us to achieve. I see God in that. Is it possible that God would send 10,000 people to a little girl's house? I would say yes. And if you say no, then I'm going to ask you to prove it to me. But don't even try, because you're not going to be able to. It just doesn't exist. It's got to be, God has to move like that. God is very charitable. Maybe it wasn't that he had a great big banner and he said, hey, this is what I'm doing tonight. I'm bringing all you guys over here, and this is how you know it's me. But if you look, how often does the Bible say that Jesus had compassion on somebody? Jesus felt love for the rich young ruler. He had compassion on the other people. That's the nature of God. I'm not saying that if you come across some major health event or some major issue in life that all you have to do is look out the window and try to find a couple of hawks and then life will be good. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that in the midst of the things that we go through, the unexplained illnesses, the unexplained division in families and workplace, wherever it is, we live in a broken world and we deal with broken world things. But in the midst of this, the question about where is God, I say more like God is where? In the mall, in the helicopter, in the birds, in your heart, in the fact that you got up and went someplace and didn't even know why you did, and it turned out to be something for the kingdom. That's where God is. And again, I don't want to be cavalier about this. There is pain and suffering. Some of us we've been through many times, and there's going to be more. It's just the way the world is, and that doesn't sound real cheery. But if you have pain and suffering, and the question is, where is God? I wouldn't say he's in your pain and suffering, and mine. Sometimes he doesn't end the pain and suffering. Sometimes he'll go through with us. That doesn't make it easier. But it is comforting somehow or another to know that he said, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. And that is an image of having like a toy that you played with for a while when you were a kid, and then you kind of grew out of it and you picked it up and put it on the shelf and you don't deal with it anymore. That's what that forsaken phrase means. But God will never put us on the shelf because he's done with us, ever. So where is God? He's wherever you are. He was there before you got there. Psalm says that God goes before us and he goes behind us. That means we're covered. He's leading. The most vulnerable position that an army can be in is in the flanks. If you don't have your flanks protected, you got a problem. But God said he's the flank protector. So where is God? He's before us, and he's behind us. And again, I don't want to be cavalier. I know that there is pain. Families break up. People move away. Things happen. Can't explain it. Don't understand how it goes. I don't know. God intervenes sometimes physically, sometimes he does not. I don't know how he does or doesn't. I don't know what his thought process is. But I do know that in the midst of whatever it is that comes upon us, there is a God who is fully aware of who we are, fully aware of our circumstances, and doesn't really want us to ask, where is God? He wants us to know where he is because he told us in the Bible, he is right here. He's living in us. He's in the world. He could have stayed away from the world, but he chose to send Jesus to become one of us. So where is God? He's right here. Where is God? He's right in the next turmoil and the trouble that you have and that I have. Nothing surprises God. I have an expression that I like to use, that God can see around corners. I cannot. But he knows what's around the bend. That to me is comforting. So I would like to just close with this, that my prayer, and when I get back home next week and I get back into my routine again, my prayer for this particular church right now is that each and every one of you will sense God's presence if you haven't before, and if you did, do it again. That we will not ask where is God anymore, that we will always recognize that he is with us. We could ask God, what are you doing? I do that regularly. But I don't want to ask where God is. I know where he is. And somehow or another there's a comfort in that. So I'm going to have that. You can go during the week, and if it crosses your mind, you can realize that every morning around 5:30 my time, which would be in the middle of the night for you guys, I will be praying for you. That you will sense God's presence and that you will know where he is. God bless you folks. Hope you have a great weekend now.
Ron, Suzanne, would you guys go